Padding properties of CSS. These are one of the very important and widely used properties in CSS. So let's see how to use margin and padding in CSS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply margin for my H1 element which is there in my HTML document. So my document consists of two elements right now. One is H1 element and one is paragraph element. So I'm going to apply a margin for my H1 element right now. Before that, let's just check out how does my web page look before applying margin. As you can see, this is how it's looking before applying margin. So there is some margin left by this H1 tag already. And this is because H1 to H6 elements, that is header elements, are block elements. And block elements live or have their default margin. So that's why this header element has its default margin space over here. Okay, so margin is nothing but the space between your border of your element and the border of your web page. Or you can simply say margin is nothing but the space outside your border of your element, wherever you want to apply it. Okay, so let's see how does it look after applying margin. So margin equal to, I'm going to apply margin equal to 100 pixel for my H1 tag, which we just saw right now. If I save it and I refresh it, here we go. So it has given margin of 100 pixel from each side of your H1 element, from top, right, bottom, and left. So from each side, there is 100 pixel of space being left by this margin. Okay. So this is called as margin. It is nothing but the space outside your border of your element. Okay, so this makes your web page looks more neater. So now I have given 100 pixels so that you, just to show you how does this margin works. But in reality, you can give it according to your requirement, right? So this is margin. Similarly, padding is also used for spacing, but instead of giving space outside the element border or outside of your element, as in case of margin, padding is used for giving space inside your element. Okay, so if I'm going to apply padding for my H1 tag, so what's going to happen is, just see, I'm going to apply padding to my H1 tag as 20 pixel, and what will happen, it's going to give space inside my element H1. If I refresh it after saving, here we go. Can you see the space of padding? It has applied the space inside your H1 element, okay, not outside your H1 element. So padding is nothing but the space between the content of your element and the border of your element. So this particular space is called as padding. So if you see, I have 20 pixel over here, 20 pixel over here, 20 pixel over here, and 20 pixel over here as well. But you'll say that here there's no 20 pixel because it is showing much larger space than 20 pixel. This is because, again, H1 is a block element, and block elements take the whole width wherever you display, wherever you write them. So if I'm writing here H1, so it's going to, and if my H1 is consisting very less content in it, but still it will occupy the whole width of the page. That's why it is showing you this whole space. But actually here as well, there is 20 pixel of padding applied, which right now we can't see the difference. But for example, if I just go and write something more in this, then you will be able to see the padding there as well. So I'll write over here. It's very interesting. If you see, now there is 20 pixel of space left from each side of this content. Okay, if you see it now, you will able to see the padding applied. So 20 pixel from left, right, bottom, and top. Okay, so this is called as padding. So padding is a space given between the content of your element and the border of your element. So this space is called as padding, whereas margin is nothing but space given outside of your element border. Okay. Okay, so there is one more very interesting thing in this which comes with this margin. So what is it? Let's see. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my margin for this paragraph element as well. So I'm going to apply the same margin over here as well. So let's see what has happened. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to write it here as well. And I'm going to save it. What do you think? What will happen? It will apply margin for this paragraph as well, right? And since I have written margin, so it's going to apply from all the sides, all four sides of your paragraph. So let's see how does it look. Here we go. So it has applied margin for this paragraph from all the four sides, right? Whether it is top, bottom, left, and right. So this is how margin works. But if you see carefully, here there is something not right. And what is that? That is, on H1 element we have applied margin of 100 pixel, and on paragraph as well we have applied margin of 100 pixel. That means both elements should give a space of 100 pixel from each of their sides. When we see left, right, left and right, it has correctly given the space of 100 pixel. But when you see top and bottom of this particular elements, for example, H1 top is correct, but H1 bottom has left 100 pixel, and H1, and in short, these two elements, the space between these two elements should be of 200 pixel. But if you see, this is not 200 pixel, this is only 100 pixel. So this is called as margin collapsing. What does margin collapse does? It takes any one of the margin from the two elements which are one above the other. So in case if there are elements one above the other and you have applied margin to both of these elements, then it will collapse the margin, one of the margin between them, and it will take the highest margin. So that's why here it has taken only 100 pixel instead of 200 pixel, and that's why it is looking like this. So this is called as margin collapsing. With this, there's also one more thing which I want to tell, and that is we can apply margin left, right, bottom, top. So we can limit our margin for any side of your element. Okay, instead, if you don't want to give it for all the sides of your element, you can limit it to any of the side which you are interested in. For example, if I just want my margin to be in the left side instead of top, right, and bottom, then I can do that. If I refresh it, here we go. So it has removed the margin which we applied on the top, right, and bottom, and it has only given the margin of left side. Similarly, is goes for padding as well. So this is about margin and padding.